The sun rose over New Washington just like any other day. People walked to work, children went to school, and life moved forward as it always had. No one knew that this ordinary Tuesday would change human history forever. At exactly 9:17 a.m., the skies darkened over every major city on Earth. Massive ships, each the size of a small town, positioned themselves above New York, Beijing, London, Moscow, and 30 other population centers. Television broadcasts stopped. Internet connections failed. For 8 minutes and 22 seconds, the world held its breath, then the messages began. They appeared on every screen, in every language. We are the Zellner Collective. We come in peace and friendship. We have watched your world for many years. We believe it is time to welcome humanity to the galactic community. In the command center of the Earth Defense Fleet headquarters, Commander Daniel Frost watched the screens with narrow eyes. Unlike the civilians cheering in the streets, Daniel felt only unease. They shut down our communications for almost 9 minutes before saying hello, he said to his second-in-command. That's not how friends introduce themselves. Daniel had grown up in the harsh mining colonies of Mars. His parents died in a pressure failure when he was 12. Life had taught him that the universe was not kind and nothing valuable came without a cost. Sir, the President is ordering all military forces to stand down, said Lieutenant Greg Miller, looking up from his console. World leaders are gathering in Geneva to meet with the alien representatives. Daniel nodded but said nothing. His orders were clear, even if his instincts screamed danger. 3 days later, the first Zellner walked on Earth's soil. They were tall beings with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Each had 4 arms and moved with unusual grace, despite Earth's gravity. Their leader, who called himself Ambassador Zex, spoke perfect English through a small device on what seemed to be his chest. We bring gifts of knowledge and technology, the alien said to the gathered world leaders. The Zellner Collective spans 87 star systems. We have much to share. On Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, Dr. Olivia Reeves received the first Zellner tissue samples. As the leading xenobiologist in the solar system, she was tasked with studying the alien's biology. This can't be right, she muttered, looking at the genetic sequencing results on her screen. She ran the test again. The results were the same. Olivia pushed away from her desk and locked the lab door. What she had discovered would not make Earth's new friends happy. The Zellner genetic structure showed signs of extensive engineering, not for peace but for war. Their DNA contained sequences designed for rapid healing, enhanced strength, and what appeared to be natural armor. These were not the bodies of peaceful explorers. They were the bodies of conquerors. Meanwhile, the Zellner request for a complete map of all human settlements throughout the solar system reached Daniel's desk. The commander reviewed the document carefully. They specifically ask for all habitable zones, Daniel pointed out to Admiral Wilson during their secure call. But they want us to exclude uninhabitable areas from the report. Is that a problem? The Admiral asked. Seems reasonable. They wouldn't care about places humans can't live. Daniel thought of the colonies on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, with its thick, toxic atmosphere and temperatures of nearly 300 degrees below zero. Titan was by most standards uninhabitable. Yet over 50,000 humans lived there now, in the most hostile environment humans had ever settled. No, sir, not a problem, Daniel said carefully. I'll prepare the report as requested. The commander ended the call and stared at the wall. Something wasn't right. The Zellner representatives had flinched almost imperceptibly when someone mentioned Titan during yesterday's briefing. At the time, Daniel thought it was just his imagination. Now, he wasn't so sure. He made a decision. The report would include all Earth colonies, Mars settlements, the lunar bases, and the stations orbiting Venus and Mercury. It would mention the research outposts on Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. But it would say nothing about Titan. 6 weeks. After first contact, Olivia sent her findings through secure channels to Daniel. They had known each other since academy days, and she trusted him more than her own superiors, who seemed increasingly enchanted by the Zellner. Their body chemistry suggests they evolved in an environment nothing like ours, her message read. High pressure, extreme cold, possibly methane-based rather than oxygen? Does that sound familiar, Danny? It did. She was describing conditions very similar to those on Titan. Daniel began gathering information quietly. He contacted old friends stationed throughout the solar system. He called in favors from intelligence officers. A pattern emerged. The Zellner were extremely interested in Earth's mineral resources and seemed particularly focused on rare elements. They offered amazing technological advancements, but always held back critical components that would make humans dependent on them. And most concerning, they never visited the outer planets. Not once. At a diplomatic reception in New Geneva, Daniel managed to speak privately with Ambassador X. After pleasantries, he casually mentioned his brother working on Titan. Fascinating, the ambassador said, his skin changing color slightly. Humans actually live in such conditions? How resourceful you are. We adapt to survive, Daniel replied, watching the alien carefully. Titan colonists have even modified their bodies to handle the pressure and cold. Some say they're barely human anymore. The ambassador's 4 hands twitched. Indeed, how unusual. Excuse me, Commander. I see the Secretary General wishes to speak with me. That night, Daniel received an encrypted message from Titan. It was from Colonel Samantha Vega, the colony's governor and military leader. The Zellner ships are scanning our settlements from orbit, her message read. They're being careful, staying at extreme range, but our sensors detected them. What aren't you telling us, Frost? Daniel composed his reply carefully. Our new friends might not be so friendly. Keep your people ready, but don't show your hand. If I'm right, you're the ace Earth doesn't know it needs. 2 days later, Daniel was reassigned to Mars Patrol, effectively removing him from any important decision-making. Dr. Olivia Reeves found her lab access restricted due to security protocols. And on Titan, Colonel Vega called an emergency council meeting deep beneath the moon's surface. The game had begun. The Zellner thought they knew humanity's strengths and weaknesses. They had studied Earth for decades, but they had never encountered humans who called the deadliest world in the solar system home, and they were not prepared for what was coming. 6 months passed since the Zellner arrived. Life on Earth changed fast. The aliens shared new medicines that cured diseases. They helped build faster ships. They taught humans how to grow more food. Everyone seemed happy with the new friendship, but strange things started to happen. A mining ship near Jupiter went silent. A research station on Europa stopped sending messages. Each time, the Zellner explained it was just bad luck or equipment failure. Each time, more humans disappeared. Lieutenant Kate Mercer worked at the communications center on Phobos, the small moon orbiting Mars. Her job was to monitor space traffic and relay messages. Kate had never broken the rules before, but something felt wrong about the recent accidents. Late one night, when the station was quiet, Kate noticed unusual signals between Zellner ships. The aliens used Earth's communication systems during the day, but at night they switched to their own network. These messages were encoded. Kate shouldn't have tried to decode them. It was against regulations. It could get her fired or worse. But she remembered her friend Jake, who worked on the Europa station. The one that supposedly had an equipment failure that killed everyone. She copied the strange signals and ran them through a decryption program she had designed. It took 3 days to break the code. When she finally read the messages, her hands shook. Human resistance minimal. Resource extraction proceeding ahead of schedule. Phase 2 begins in 30 days. Elimination protocols ready. Kate didn't know who to trust. Most high-ranking officials worked closely with the Zellner now. Then she remembered Commander Daniel Frost, who had been sent to Mars Patrol after asking too many questions. Using a personal channel, she sent him the decoded messages. On Mars, things were also going wrong. Pete Donovan managed the largest farm dome on the Red Planet. The Zellner had given Mars colonists special soil treatments that made plants grow bigger and faster. Everyone called it a miracle, but Pete noticed something strange. The enhanced soil was changing color week by week. He took samples and tested them in his small lab. The results worried him. The Zellner miracle was slowly changing the soil chemistry. In about a year, it would no longer support Earth plants. Instead, it would be perfect for growing alien plants that humans couldn't eat. Pete took his findings to the Mars Colonial Authority. The next day, he was removed from his position. The official reason: mental health concerns. 2 Zellner Medical specialists came to his home to help him with his delusions. Pete escaped that night, taking his research with him. He had a cousin who worked in the underground tunnels of Mars, places the aliens never visited. Places where he could hide. Meanwhile, Commander Daniel Frost received Kate's message while on patrol near the Martian North Pole. He wasn't surprised by what he read. He had been gathering his own evidence, building a network of people who shared his suspicions. Daniel sent a secure message to Colonel Samantha Vega on Titan. "It's worse than we thought. They're not just here for resources. They want the whole system, and they plan to remove us from it." Samantha received the message in her office deep beneath Titan's surface. The colony on Saturn's moon existed in layers. The uppermost domes dealt with the aliens when necessary. But the true heart of Titan, the military installations, research labs, and most of the population remained hidden kilometers below the frozen surface. "How long do we have?" she asked in her reply. "A month." "Maybe less," came Daniel's answer. Samantha called her top officers together. They met in a room so secure that even the existence of the room was classified. "The Zellner are not our friends," she told them. They never were. "We've suspected this since they arrived. Now we have proof." She showed them the decoded messages and other evidence Daniel had gathered. "Earth has been compromised," she continued. "Mars is falling. The outer colonies are being picked off one by one. Soon they'll come for Titan." Major Ben Harris, her second-in-command, spoke up. "Why haven't they already?" "They've had 6 months." Samantha smiled coldly. "Because they're afraid of us, Major." She brought up a display showing Titan's unique environment. The moon had rivers and lakes, but they weren't made of water. They were liquid methane and ethane. The atmosphere was thick with nitrogen and hydrocarbon compounds. The temperature stayed around -290 degrees Fahrenheit. Pressure at the surface was 50% higher than Earth's. "The Zellner evolved in conditions similar to Titan's," she explained. "That's why they want our solar system. Earth is useful for resources, but Titan could be their second home." "Then why fear us?" asked Captain Linda Foster, head of security. "Because they never expected to find humans here," Samantha replied. "We've adapted to survive in what they consider their natural environment. We've modified our bodies, created new technologies. On Titan, we have the home field advantage." The officers nodded. Everyone on Titan had undergone extensive modifications. Reinforced bones to handle the pressure, enhanced lungs to process the filtered atmosphere, specialized skin layers to protect against the cold. These changes, combined with external pressure suits, allowed humans to walk on Titan's surface, something the original colonists thought would be impossible. "What's the plan?" Major Harris asked. "First, we evacuate our people from Earth and the inner planets, as many as we can without alerting the Zellner," Samantha said. "Daniel has arranged for ships that will appear to be regular supply runs. Then we prepare for war," she continued. "The aliens don't know how many of us are here or what we're capable of. That's our advantage." Captain Foster looked troubled. "Earth has nearly 10 billion people. We can't evacuate them all." "No," Samantha agreed, "but we can save some, and then we can fight for the rest." On Earth, no one suspected anything was wrong. The Zellner ambassador announced a special celebration to mark 6 months of friendship between their species. World leaders gathered in New Washington for the event. Ambassador Zex addressed the crowd with what seemed like genuine warmth. "Today begins a new chapter in our relationship. The Zellner Collective has decided to share our most advanced technologies with humanity." The crowd cheered. Cameras flashed. No one noticed the small signal the ambassador sent from his communication device. In orbit, hidden behind Earth's moon, a massive fleet of Zellner warships received the signal. They began moving toward Earth. The real invasion had begun, only on distant Titan. As Colonel Samantha Vega watched the broadcast, did anyone recognize the truth? "It's starting," she said to her officers, "sooner than we expected." She pressed a button on her desk, activating Titan's defense protocols. "Send the alert to Daniel and our other allies," she ordered, and launched the first response teams. Across Titan, specially trained soldiers boarded ships unlike any Earth had ever built. These vessels, designed for the harsh conditions of the outer solar system, carried weapons the Zellner wouldn't expect. The deadliest human world was going to war. The Zellner attack was swift and brutal. Their hidden fleet emerged from behind the moon and launched weapons that disabled Earth's defense systems in minutes. Major cities fell under alien control within hours. The world leaders who had welcomed the aliens were the first to be captured. From his small ship orbiting Mars, Commander Daniel Frost watched the emergency broadcasts with a heavy heart. Earth was falling, and there was nothing he could do to stop it, but he could still help save as many people as possible. "Lieutenant Mercer, are you receiving me?" he called over a secure channel. "Yes, Commander," Kate answered from her station on Phobos. "The Zellner just announced they're coming to secure the Mars colonies. How much time do we have?" 6 hours, maybe less." Daniel nodded grimly. "Start the evacuation. Use the emergency protocols we discussed? Priority goes to children and essential personnel." Kate hesitated. "Sir, we can't evacuate everyone. We have 12 ships, and there are over 20,000 colonists." "I know," Daniel said quietly. "Do what you can. The Titan ships will meet you at the rendezvous point near Dymas." While Mars prepared for evacuation, the lunar colonies surrendered without a fight. The Zellner had placed agents among the lunar administrators months ago. The aliens simply walked in and took control. On Earth, some nations tried to fight back. They launched missiles and deployed soldiers. Nothing worked. The Zellner weapons were too advanced. Their ships too powerful. Within 2 days, most resistance had been crushed. Only in the deep oceans and remote mountains did some human forces remain free. Small groups of soldiers and civilians went into hiding, planning to fight back when they could. The Zellner Supreme Commander, a tall figure named Korax, established his headquarters in what used to be the United Nations building in New Washington. From there, he directed the final stages of the Earth conquest. "What about the outer planets?" he asked his officers during a strategy meeting. "Jupiter's moons have surrendered," reported Subcommander Valex. "The few humans there had no means to resist. And Saturn? What about the human presence on Titan?" There was an uncomfortable silence. Finally, an intelligence officer spoke up. "Our scans show minimal activity on Titan's surface. There appear to be small research stations only. Nothing of military significance." Korax studied the officer carefully. "You sound uncertain." "The moon's atmosphere interferes with our sensors. We cannot get clear readings of what lies beneath the surface." The Supreme Commander turned to look at the large display showing the solar system. Earth was marked in red, indicating complete control. Mars was yellow, partial control. The outer planets were still green. "Send a fleet to Saturn," Korax ordered. "I want Titan secured immediately." What the Zellner didn't know was that Titan was far from defenseless. Deep beneath the moon's frozen surface, Colonel Samantha Vega addressed 5,000 soldiers in a massive underground chamber. "For 3 generations we have prepared for this day," she told them. "Our ancestors came to Titan knowing it would change them. They accepted the modifications to their bodies, the hardships of life in this environment, because they believed humanity needed a fallback position." The soldiers stood at attention. Unlike regular humans, they were taller and broader. Their skin had a slight blue tint from the oxygen carriers in their blood that worked in the cold. Their eyes were larger, adapted to see in Titan's dim light. "The Zellner think we are few," Samantha continued. "They think we are weak. They are wrong." She brought up a display showing the approaching Zellner fleet. 12 large warships heading toward Saturn. Our advantage is surprise. They don't know about our military capabilities or our numbers. They don't know that we've been studying them since they first arrived in our system. Samantha nodded to her second-in-command, Major Ben Harris. He stepped forward. We've identified weaknesses in Zellner ship design, he explained. Their shields operate on a frequency we can disrupt. Their weapon systems have blind spots we can exploit. He showed the soldiers schematics of Zellner vessels with key points highlighted. Most importantly, Ben continued, they evolved in an environment similar to Titans. But they've adapted to Earth conditions, they've softened. We haven't. Meanwhile, Flight Captain Ryan Martinez prepared his squad for the first counterattack. Their ships looked like ordinary mining vessels, the kind used to collect methane from Titan's lakes. But these ships have been modified with hidden weapon systems. Remember your training? Ryan told his pilots. Let them see you as harmless until you're in position. Then hit their weak points hard and fast. The pilots nodded. Each had spent thousands of hours in simulators practicing for this moment. They knew exactly what to do. As the Zellner fleet approached Saturn, they detected several small ships leaving Titan. The alien commander was not concerned. They appeared to be simple transport vessels, probably civilians trying to escape. Let them go, he told his weapons officer. We want the moon, not the humans. This was the Zellner's first mistake. The civilians were actually a special operations team led by Lisa Shun, Titan's top infiltration expert. Their destination, the Zellner command ship. Lisa and her team wore advanced suits that masked their life signs. To Zellner sensors, they appeared to be cargo, not people. Their ship drifted toward the alien fleet, apparently abandoned. Maintain radio silence, Lisa whispered to her team as the Zellner tractor beam pulled their vessel into a large docking bay. Wait for my signal. On Earth, the Zellner Supreme Commander received a message from his fleet near Saturn. We have reached the moon called Titan, the captain reported. Initial scans show minimal resistance. We are commencing landing operations. Excellent, Korax replied. Secure any human technology you find. I want to know how they've managed to survive in that environment. The transmission was suddenly interrupted. Static filled the screen, then cleared to show a human face. It was Colonel Samantha Vega. Attention. Zellner forces, she said calmly. You have invaded sovereign human territory. You have attacked our homeworld. You have underestimated us. The Supreme Commander stared in shock. How had this human broken into their secure channel? You should have asked about Titan, Samantha continued. You should have wondered why we can survive in an environment so similar to your own. Now you're going to find out. The screen went black. Moments later, reports began flowing in from the Saturn fleet. They were under attack. The battle for humanity had begun. The deadliest humans from the deadliest world were finally showing what they could do. And the Zellner were not prepared. The Zellner fleet near Saturn never knew what hit them. Ryan Martinez and his pilots struck with perfect timing. Their ships, disguised as simple mining vessels, suddenly transformed into deadly weapons platforms. They targeted the exact spots where the alien shields were weakest. Focus fire on their sensor arrays, Ryan ordered his squadron. Blind them first, then hit their engines. The Zellner ships tried to respond, but they were confused. Their sensors showed only small mining ships, yet they were taking heavy damage. By the time they realized what was happening, 3 of their 12 warships were already crippled. Inside the Zellner command ship, Lisa Chun and her infiltration team moved silently through the corridors. The aliens had no idea humans were aboard. Lisa's team had trained for years to move undetected in enemy territory. They placed small devices at key locations throughout the vessel. Quantum disruptors in place, Lisa whispered into her comm unit. Ready to activate on your command, Colonel. Back on Titan, Samantha Vega watched the battle unfold on her command screens. The first phase was going exactly as planned. Now it was time for the second. Launch the main fleet, she ordered, hidden among Saturn's rings. 30 large battleships powered up their engines. These weren't disguised mining vessels. These were true warships, built in secret over decades. Their Hulls were reinforced with titanium and coated with carbon nanotubes that absorbed energy weapons. Their crews wore pressure suits that simulated Titan's crushing atmosphere, making them stronger and faster than regular humans. On Earth, the Zellner's Supreme Commander Korax received alarming reports from his Saturn fleet. "We are under attack," the message said. "Enemy forces much stronger than anticipated request immediate reinforcements." Korax couldn't believe what he was hearing. How could the humans on Titan possibly threaten his elite forces? "Send the reserve fleet from Jupiter," he ordered. "Crush this resistance immediately." But the Zellner were about to face another surprise. Dr. Alan Grant, Titan's chief science officer, had developed a special weapon based on his study of Zellner biology. It wasn't designed to kill, but to disable. "The delivery systems are ready," Alan reported to Colonel Vega. "The biological agent will affect their nervous systems within minutes of exposure. They'll be paralyzed but conscious." Samantha nodded. In approval, deploy it through the captured ships. 2 Zellner vessels that Ryan's team had disabled were now under human control. The Titan forces used them to approach the remaining alien ships while broadcasting Zellner identification codes. Once they were close enough, they released Dr. Grant's biological agent into the enemy vessels' air systems. Inside the ships, Zellner soldiers suddenly found themselves unable to move. Their limbs wouldn't respond to commands from their brains. They were helpless as Titan forces boarded and took control. On Mars, the evacuation was going badly. The Zellner had arrived sooner than expected. Only 3 ships had managed to escape. With refugees before the aliens secured the spaceports. Daniel Frost and Kate Mercer were trapped with about 50 colonists in an underground shelter beneath Olympus City. "We can't stay here," Kate said. "They'll find us eventually." Daniel checked his weapon. "We need a diversion. Something to draw their attention while we get to the emergency launch facility." Among the colonists was Pete Donovan, the agricultural engineer who had discovered the truth about the Zellner soil treatments. "I might have something that could help," Pete said quietly. "I've been working on a compound that neutralizes their soil formula. It creates a strong chemical reaction. Not an explosion exactly, but it could create enough smoke and confusion to cover our escape." Daniel looked at him with new respect. "How soon can you have it ready? Give me an hour." While the Mars colonists prepared their escape plan, the battle near Saturn intensified. The Zellner Reserve fleet arrived from Jupiter, bringing 15 more warships to the fight. They were surprised to find that half of the original fleet had already been captured or destroyed. "What is happening?" demanded the Zellner fleet commander. "How can these humans be defeating our forces?" The answer came in the form of Commander Eric Winters and Titan's elite pressure squadron. Their ships were unlike anything the Zellner had ever encountered. Designed to function in any environment from vacuum to liquid methane, they could perform maneuvers that would have killed any other pilot Eric and his pilots had trained in. Titan's crushing gravity. Their bodies were enhanced to withstand forces that would break normal human bones. They flew their ships with incredible skill, diving between enemy vessels, firing with perfect accuracy, then vanishing into Saturn's rings before the Zellner could target them. "Squadron 2, attack pattern Delta," Eric ordered. "Squadron 3, provide cover fire." The Titan ships moved in perfect coordination, targeting the Zellner vessels one by one. Despite being outnumbered, they were winning. On Earth, communication systems suddenly failed across all Zellner-controlled territories. Computer networks crashed. Alien technology stopped working. Jack Powell, the data analyst who had been captured during the initial invasion, turned out to be a deep-cover Titan operative. For months, he had been secretly installing backdoors in Zellner systems. Now those backdoors activated simultaneously, causing chaos throughout the alien occupation force. Zellner Supreme Commander Korax was furious. How is this possible? "These are primitive humans." His science officer looked uncomfortable. "Sir, we may have miscalculated. The humans on Titan have adapted to survive in conditions very similar to our homeworld. But they've taken it further than we ever did." "Explain," Korax demanded. "Our species evolved in a high-pressure, low-temperature environment. When we expanded to other worlds, we modified those environments to suit us. The humans did the opposite. They modified themselves to suit the environment. In some ways, they've become better adapted to Titan than we would be. The turning point of the battle came when Colonel Vega revealed Titan's greatest weapon, atmospheric conversion bombs. When deployed on Zellner ships, these devices instantly created Titan-like conditions, freezing temperatures, and crushing pressure inside the vessels to the Titans. These conditions were simply what they had adapted to live with. To the Zellner, who had grown accustomed to Earth's comfortable environment, they were immediately disabling. Lisa Chun activated the quantum disruptors aboard the Zellner command ship at the perfect moment. As the ship's systems failed, her team took control of the bridge. The alien captain stared in disbelief at the humans who had infiltrated his vessel without detection. "How?" he asked simply. Lisa smiled. "You thought Titan was uninhabitable. We made it our home." Within hours, the tide of battle had turned completely. The Zellner fleet near Saturn was defeated. The human forces from Titan began to move toward Mars and then Earth, freeing colonies and gathering allies along the way. On Earth, human resistance fighters emerged from hiding, encouraged by the news from Saturn. They targeted Zellner communication centers and supply depots, coordinating their attacks with information provided by Titan intelligence. The aliens who had arrived so confidently, who had conquered Earth so easily, now found themselves fighting for survival against humans from the deadliest world in the solar system, and they were losing. 3 weeks after the battle at Saturn, the Zellner Supreme Commander Korax faced a difficult decision. His forces were losing ground everywhere. The humans from Titan had freed Mars and were approaching Earth with a growing fleet. Resistance. Fighters on Earth were becoming bolder, attacking Zellner positions daily. "We must consider our options," Korax told his remaining officers. The meeting room felt empty with so many seats vacant. Many of his best commanders had been captured or killed. "We could retreat to the outer system," suggested his second-in-command. "Regroup and call for reinforcements from the homeworld." Korax shook his head. Reinforcements would take 2 years to arrive. By then, the humans will have secured the entire system. After much debate, Korax made the hardest decision of his career. Send a message to Colonel Vega, request ceasefire negotiations. On the Titan flagship approaching Earth orbit, Samantha Vega received the Zellner message with surprise. She immediately called her top officers together, including Daniel Frost and Olivia Reeves, who had been rescued from a Zellner prison on Europa. "They want to talk," Samantha told them. "They're asking for peace." Daniel looked suspicious. "It could be a trap." "I don't think so," Olivia said. "Based on what I know of their biology and psychology, they respect strength above all. We've proven stronger than they expected. Now they want to understand how." Samantha considered this. "We'll meet with them, but on our terms. The negotiations will take place on Titan." 2 days later, 3 Zellner representatives arrived on Titan. They wore bulky protective suits that barely withstood the moon's harsh environment. Colonel Vega deliberately chose to meet them on the surface, not in their comfortable underground facilities. The Zellner ambassador, a high-ranking official named Telax, stared in awe as Samantha and her officers walked toward them wearing only light pressure suits. The humans moved easily in conditions that would kill most species within minutes. Inside a simple dome structure, the two sides sat across from each other at a table made of compressed methane ice. The temperature was kept at -280 degrees Fahrenheit, comfortable for the Titans, barely tolerable for the Zellner even in their protective gear. "You have proven yourselves worthy opponents," Ambassador Talax began, his voice distorted by his suit's speakers. "The collective wishes to end this conflict." "You started this conflict," Samantha replied calmly. "You came to our system with lies. You plan to take our worlds and eliminate our species." The ambassador's 4 hands made a gesture of acknowledgement. "We did not believe humans could adapt to such extreme environments. We did not believe any species could master Titans conditions as you have." Daniel Frost, now serving as Samantha's chief advisor, leaned forward. "Why did you really come to our solar system?" Zellner hesitated, then answered truthfully. Our homeworld is dying. Its core is cooling. We have been searching for planets with conditions similar to our original environment. And Titan fit those requirements, Olivia Reeve said. Yes, when we detected your presence here, we assumed it was minimal. A small research outpost at most. We never imagined... You never imagined we could thrive here, Samantha finished for him. That was your mistake. The negotiations continued for hours. Finally, terms were agreed upon. The Zellner would withdraw all forces from Earth, Mars, and the inner planets. They would release all human prisoners. In exchange, humanity would allow them to establish a small colony on the far side of Titan, under strict supervision. We don't seek revenge, Samantha told the aliens. We seek justice and security for our people. Ambassador Telex seemed surprised by this mercy. Why would you share Titan with us after what we did? Because that's what makes us human, Daniel said. We can be your deadliest enemies or your most valuable allies. The choice is yours. Within a week, Zellner forces began leaving Earth. Humans celebrated around the world as alien ships departed one by one. Supreme Commander Korax was the last to leave, boarding his personal vessel from what remained of New Washington. Before departing, he requested a private communication with Colonel Vega. You have changed the collective's understanding of humanity, he told her. We believed you were a young, weak species. We were wrong. Samantha nodded. Remember that lesson when you return. To your people. 1 month later, the leaders of humanity gathered on Titan to discuss the future. Representatives from Earth, Mars, and all the colonies met in the great chamber deep beneath the moon's surface. Daniel Frost, now appointed as humanity's first ambassador to the reformed Zellner Collective, addressed the assembly. We faced extinction and emerged stronger, he said. The aliens weren't ready for us because they didn't understand what makes humans special. We don't just adapt to our environment, we transform it in ourselves. Olivia Reeves presented her research findings to the gathered leaders. The Zellner biological data confirms what we've suspected. Humans possess a unique genetic flexibility. We can survive and thrive in conditions that most species consider impossible. In the aftermath of the conflict, a memorial was constructed in Titan's main dome. It honored those lost in the fighting, but also symbolized humanity's turning point. The monument, built from Titan ice and Earth stone, bore an inscription in both human and Zellner languages. Adversity breeds strength. Remember this. Life slowly returned to normal across the solar system. Earth began rebuilding its cities. Mars colonists replanted their farms with clean soil. The outer moons continued their research and expansion on Titan, the small Zellner. Colony took shape, carefully monitored by human security forces. Some of the aliens began studying human adaptation techniques, hoping to learn from the species they had once planned to destroy. As Daniel prepared to depart for his diplomatic mission to the Zellner homeworld, he received a message from Samantha. They weren't ready for Titan, it read. Make sure they're ready for what comes next. The message included reports from deep space probes showing evidence of other alien civilizations beyond the solar system. Some appeared peaceful. Others did not. Daniel understood the implication. The conflict with the Zellner was just the beginning. Humanity would face more challenges as they expanded into the galaxy. But now the universe knew something important. Never underestimate humans, especially those who called the deadliest worlds home. They had turned the most hostile environments into their strength. They had transformed potential extinction into victory. And they were just getting started.